Welcome back, coin collectors and history lovers. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of one of America's smallest coins, the 1 dime, and uncovering the top 6 most valuable dimes ever minted. Some of these are worth thousands, or even millions of dollars. So stick around as we explore the rich history, key features, and jaw-dropping values of these incredible coins. First up, the 1974 1-dime coin from the United States may appear like an ordinary piece of change, but for collectors and enthusiasts, every coin tells a story, and this one is no exception. Struck during a time of economic adjustment and, after significant changes to U.S. coinage, the 1974 dime is part of the long-running Roosevelt Dimes series, which began in 1946. The coin features the image of President Franklin D. Roosevelt on the obverse or front of the coin. This design was chosen to honor Roosevelt's legacy and his critical role in founding the March of Dimes, a campaign to fight polio, a disease Roosevelt personally battled. His profile was created by John R. Sinek, the chief engraver of the United States Mint at the time. On the reverse side of the 1974 dime, you will see a torch flanked by an olive branch and an oak branch. These symbols stand for liberty, peace, and strength. The reverse design has remained unchanged since its introduction in 1946. The words, United States of America, 1 dime, and a pluribus unum surround the imagery, emphasizing unity and national identity. The 1974 Roosevelt dime was struck at 3 mints, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia mint coins have no mint mark. Denver mint coins are marked with a small D, and San Francisco mint coins bear an S. However, most San Francisco dimes from that year were proof coins, made specifically for collectors with extra care and a high-quality finish. In total, the mintage numbers for the 1974 dimes are quite high. The Philadelphia Mint produced over 471 million dimes, while the Denver Mint struck more than 568 million. The San Francisco Mint made over 2.6 million proof coins. Because of these high mintages, the 1974 dime is not considered rare in circulated condition. However, condition and certain mint errors can significantly affect value. In terms of composition, the 1974 dime is made from a clad composition. This means the coin has an outer layer of copper nickel bonded to a core of pure copper. It weighs 2.27 grams and has a diameter of 17.91 millimeters. The edge of the coin is reeded, giving it that familiar textured border. Now, when it comes to value, a standard 1974 Roosevelt dime in circulated fine condition typically holds face value, just 10 cents. However, coins in uncirculated condition, especially those that have been graded professionally, can be worth more. A 1974 dime in mint state 65 condition may fetch between $1 to $3 depending on the market and the mint mark. Proof versions from the San Francisco Mint can range from $2 to $10 if they are still in pristine, mirror-like condition. Collectors also seek out rare errors that may have occurred during production. Some 1974 dimes exhibit misstrikes, off-center, strikes, or double-die errors. These error coins can be worth anywhere from $25 to several $100s, depending on the nature and severity of the error. However, such coins are uncommon, and most 1974 dimes found in circulation are standard. Examples. Next up, the 1966 1-dime coin from the United States may look like a simple piece of everyday currency, but it holds a special place in American numismatic history. Let's explore the history, design, and potential value of this widely circulated, yet fascinating coin. The 1966 dime features the familiar profile of President Franklin D. Roosevelt on the obverse or front of the coin. Roosevelt has appeared on the dime since 1946, shortly after his death in 1945. This choice was a tribute to his leadership and his founding of the March of Dimes, a campaign that raised money to fight polio, a disease Roosevelt himself suffered from. The design was created by John R. Sinek, the chief engraver of the U.S. Mint at the time. On the reverse side of the 1966 dime, you'll see a torch in the center, flanked by an olive branch on the left and an oak branch on the right. The torch symbolizes liberty. The olive branch represents peace, and the oak branch stands for strength and independence. Surrounding these images are the inscriptions United States of America, E pluribus unum, and one dime. The year 1966 falls during a unique period in U.S. coinage history. Just a year earlier, in 1965, the U.S. Mint made a major change. It removed all silver from the dime, quarter, and half-dollar coins. This was due to rising silver prices and a coin shortage. As a result, the 1966 dime, like those minted after 1964, is made of a clad composition, an outer layer of copper-nickel bonded to a pure copper core. The coin weighs 2.27 grams, has a diameter of 17.91 millimeters, and features a reeded edge. Another important detail is that no mint marks were used on dimes in 1966. In fact, from 1965 to 1967, the U.S. Mint temporarily removed all mint marks from coins to discourage collectors from hoarding them. That means we can't tell which mint, Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco, produced a particular 1966 dime. They are all indistinguishable in that respect. In terms of mintage, the production numbers were enormous. Over 1.38 billion Roosevelt dimes were struck in 1966. Because of this, the coin is very common, and most examples you'll find today have been in circulation for decades. So, what about value? In circulated condition, a 1966 dime is typically worth face value, 10 cents. However, coins in uncirculated condition, especially those that have been carefully preserved, can be worth a bit more. A 1966 dime in mint state 65, MS65, condition might sell for $1 to $3. If the coin is certified in an even higher grade, like MS67, it could fetch $10 to $20 or more, depending on market demand. There's also a special group of coins from this era known as special mint sets, or SMS coins. These were issued in place of proof sets from 1965 to 1967. The 1966 special mint set dimes are often more sharply struck, with better detail and smoother surfaces than regular circulation coins. These SMS dimes can sell for $2 to $15, and if you find one in pristine condition with deep cameo contrast, it might be worth $50 or more. Next up, let's begin with the design. Like all Roosevelt dimes since 1946, the 1980 D dime features the profile of President Franklin D. Roosevelt on the obverse, the front, of the coin. Roosevelt was chosen for this denomination because of his leadership during the Great Depression and World War II, but also due to his close connection to the March of Dimes, a campaign dedicated to fighting polio, which Roosevelt personally battled. The portrait was created by John R. Sinnock, chief engraver of the U.S. Mint. On the reverse side of the coin, you'll find a classic American symbol, a lit torch flanked by an olive branch on the left and an oak branch on the right. These images represent liberty, peace, and strength, core values of the nation. The inscriptions include United States of America, E pluribus unum, and one dime. Now, let's talk about the mint and materials. The D mint mark on the 1980 D dime tells us it was struck at the Denver Mint. This coin is part of the copper-nickel clad era, meaning it's made from an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core. This composition replaced silver in 1965 due to rising metal costs. The coin weighs 2.27 grams, measures 17.91 millimeters in diameter, and has a reeded edge. In 1980, the Denver Mint produced a massive number of these coins, over 735 million dimes to be exact. Because of this high mintage, the 1980 D dime is very common, and most examples found in circulation today are worn and have low collector value. So what is a 1980D dime worth today? In circulated condition, like the kind you might find in your pocket change, the coin is typically worth face value, just 10 cents. However, condition matters greatly in coin collecting. If your 1980D dime is in uncirculated condition, that is, it has no signs of wear and retains its original mint luster. It may be worth a little more to collectors. A 1980D dime in mint state 65, MS65 condition can sell for around $1 to $3, depending on the market. Coins graded higher, such as MS67 or above, are much harder to find and can command $10 to $30 or more at auctions, especially if they have strong eye appeal and are certified by a reputable grading service like PCGS or NGC. But there's something else collectors are always watching for: errors and varieties. While the 1980D dime is not known for major errors, some examples with off-center strikes, double dies, or die cracks can exist. These error coins are rare but can be worth $25 to several $100s depending on the nature and clarity of the mistake. One other note, since this coin was made after 1964, it contains no silver, so even though it might have an attractive eye shine, it holds no intrinsic metal value beyond its copper and nickel content. Next up, the 1985P. Roosevelt dime may appear like just another piece of everyday change, but this coin has its own unique story and numismatic value, especially when found in extra fine condition. Let's take a closer look at the history, design, and potential value of the 1985P Roosevelt dime. This dime features the familiar image of President Franklin D. Roosevelt on the front, or obverse, of the coin. Roosevelt was chosen for the dime back in 1946, shortly after his death, in honor of his leadership through the Great Depression and World War II, and for his founding role in the March of Dimes, a campaign to fight polio. The portrait was designed by John R. Sinek, who served as the chief engraver of the United States Mint. On the reverse side, you'll see a torch in the center, symbolizing liberty, flanked by an olive branch on the left for peace and an oak branch on the right for strength. These classic elements are surrounded by the inscriptions United States of America, e pluribus unum, and one dime. Now let's talk about the mint and composition. The P mint mark under the date indicates that the coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. In 1985, over 973 million Roosevelt dimes were produced at this mint alone, making the coin fairly common in everyday circulation. This dime, like others made after 1964, is composed of a copper-nickel-clad material. That means it has an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core. The total weight is 2.27 grams, and the diameter is 17.91 millimeters with a reeded edge. Because the coin was made after 1964, it contains no silver, and therefore has no intrinsic metal value beyond its face value. However, coins in higher grades and well-preserved condition can still attract interest from collectors. So what is a 1985P Roosevelt dime worth today in extra fine condition? In numismatic terms, extra fine refers to a coin that shows light, wear on the highest points of the design but still retains strong detail and some original mint luster. A 1985P dime in this condition is generally worth a little above face value, usually around 15 to 30 cents depending on the market and demand. Coins in uncirculated or mint state condition, especially those graded MS65 or higher, can be worth more. A certified MS65 example might sell for around $2 to $5, while those graded MS67 or better can reach $20 to $40, especially if they have excellent eye appeal or full strike detail. What about errors or varieties? While the 1985P dime is not widely known for major mint errors, there are occasional finds, such as off-center strikes, broad strikes, or double dies. These error coins can sell for $25 to over $100, depending on how noticeable and dramatic the error is. There are no rare varieties known for this date, but sharp-eyed collectors still keep watch for small mistakes that can boost a coin's value significantly. Next up, the obverse, or front side of the dime, features the left-facing profile of President Franklin D. Roosevelt, honoring the 32nd President of the United States. He led the country through the Great Depression and most of World War II. The coin also pays tribute to Roosevelt's work with the March of Dimes, a national effort to combat polio, a disease Roosevelt himself fought for much of his life. The designer was John R. Sinek, the chief engraver of the U.S. Mint at the time. On the reverse of the coin, you'll find a lit torch in the center, symbolizing liberty. On either side are an olive branch for peace and an oak branch, representing strength. These elements are surrounded by the inscriptions United States of America, a pluribus unum, and one dime. This reverse design has remained unchanged since the series began in 1946. Now, here's where things get interesting. The 1967 Roosevelt dime has no mint mark. That's not a mistake. It was intentional. During the mid-1960s, the U.S. Mint temporarily removed mint marks from all coins as part of an effort to discourage coin hoarding. This happened in response to a coin shortage that started in the early 60s after the government stopped using silver in most coins. So, from 1965 to 1967, all dimes, quarters, and half dollars were struck without mint marks, regardless of whether they were made in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. As for the composition, the 1967 dime is a copper-nickel-clad coin. It has a pure copper core and an outer layer made of 75% copper and 25% nickel. It weighs 2.27 grams, has a diameter of 17.91 millimeters, and features a reeded edge. Now let's get to the value, specifically for a 1967 Roosevelt dime in extra-fine XF condition. In this condition, the coin shows only light wear on the highest points. It retains strong details, though it may have lost some of its original mint luster. While it's definitely a better-than-average circulated coin, it is still considered common due to the high number of dimes struck in 1967, over 2.2 billion. In IRD, the current market, a 1967 Roosevelt dime in extra-fine condition is typically worth 10 to 25 cents. While this is just slightly above face value, it's still appreciated by collectors trying to build complete date sets in decent condition. However, if you find one in uncirculated condition, or better yet, in a certified mint state grade like MS65 or higher, it could be worth $1 to $5, depending on quality and demand. Coins with very high grades, such as MS67 or MS68, can be worth $20 to over $100, especially if they've been professionally graded by PCGS or NGC. And what about errors? There are some known errors and varieties from 1967. These include off-center, strikes, die cracks, and broad strikes. These error coins are much less common and can sell for $25 to several $100s, depending on the severity and eye appeal of the error. Next up, in this video, we're taking a closer look at the 1968 Roosevelt one dime, a coin that often goes unnoticed in circulation, yet carries historical importance and collector interest. If you have a 1968 dime in fine condition, here's everything you need to know about its design, background, and current value. Let's begin with the coin's design. On the obverse, the front, you'll see a portrait of President Franklin D. Roosevelt, who led the United States through the Great Depression and most of World War II. His profile has appeared on the dime since 1946, shortly after his death. In honor of his leadership and his association with the March of Dimes, a campaign to combat polio, the designer was John R. Sinek, the chief engraver of the U.S. Mint at the time. The reverse of the dime features a torch in the center, symbolizing liberty, flanked by an olive branch for peace and an oak branch for strength. Surrounding these symbols are the words United States of America, a pluribus unum, and one dime. This design has remained consistent for decades and remains an iconic part of U.S. coinage. Now let's talk about the coin's minting history. In 1968, Roosevelt dimes were produced at 3 U.S. mint locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. For the first time since the coin shortage of the 1960s, mint marks were reintroduced on circulating coins. You can find the mint mark just above the date on the obverse. If your 1968 dime has a D mint mark, it was struck in Denver. A 1968 dime with an S mint mark is a proof coin made in San Francisco, and these were not intended for circulation. If your coin has no mint mark, it was made in Philadelphia. In total, the U.S. Mint produced over 480 million dimes in Denver, about 900 million in Philadelphia, and just over 3 million proof coins in San Francisco. As for the composition, the AZ 1968 Roosevelt dime is made of copper nickel clad, which means it has an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel, bonded to a pure copper core. It weighs 2.27 grams, has a diameter of 17.91 millimeters, and features a reeded edge. Keep in mind that all dimes minted from 1965 onward do not contain silver, making their metal value relatively low. Now let's talk value, specifically for a 1968 Roosevelt dime in fine condition. Fine condition means the coin has moderate wear from circulation. The details in Roosevelt's hair and face are still visible but noticeably worn. In this condition, a 1968 dime usually holds face value, which is 10 cents. Because of the high mintage numbers and the lack of silver content, circulated coins from this year are still quite common. However, coins in better condition, such as extra fine, uncirculated, or mint state, can be worth more. A 1968 dime in MS-65 condition may be worth around $2 to $5, while coins in MS-67 or higher, especially those with full bands on the reverse torch, can bring in $20 to $50 or more, especially if certified by grading services like PCGS or NGC. There are also rare errors known for the 1968 dime. For example, some collectors have found off-center strikes, double dies, and clipped planchets. These error coins are rare and can sell from $25 to several $100 depending on the type and severity of the error.